Good morning, everybody. In the blurb for this talk, I said, what does the goddess Isis have to do with the 2012 London Olympics? How are the moon and the City of London connected? And that we will explore the symbol of the Games and see how the Olympic ideal of competing to be the best has a deep resonance with the teachings of Theosophy. Because it's very easy to write these blurbs, and then months later when you come to put the talk together, to think, why the heck did I say that? I'm sure at the time it made sense to me. However, I did scratch some things together. So to begin with then, Isis is the mother of the gods. She's one of the most powerful archetypes of all time. Beyond her lies only darkness and the absolute. Isis wears a veil, which is nature. Isis in her outer garb. And although she is veiled in relative terms on all of the planes of the cosmos, it is physical nature that is usually referred to in the term the veil of Isis or Isis unveiled. This is to say, nature unveiled, to unveil that which lies behind the physical world, which is the vast array of inner planes, the planes of causation, the worlds within worlds. Isis is often depicted with a child in her arms. That child is Horus. Yet she is also Mary, the Virgin Mother of Jesus, and she is the Earth Mother, Gaia. As a goddess, her consort is Osiris, and together these two are represented as far back as we have any understanding at all. They are the polarity of creation, and at any and every level. The mother, father, male, female, they that spin a web, the web of cosmic ideation, of spirit matter, pervading all. Together with the child Osiris, they are the Logos, the Holy Trinity of Christianity. Isis was so popular in the Greek-Roman period, classical period, that the Isis mysteries were practiced in temples far and wide across the Roman Empire. So what about London? It is known that the Romans had a temple dedicated to Isis in London. And this is quite appropriate when you consider the name London. London is a compound word, lune and don. And lune is from the Latin luna, or moon, and don is the Celtic for settlement, or town or city. So London is the city of the moon. Never thought of it like that before, did we? The city of the moon. Because in those days when the Romans occupied Britain, London wasn't the vast metropolis that it is now. It was more or less a settlement, really. And to think that they had a temple of Isis there, and virtually named it the City of the Moon. Quite something. Isis was revered as the moon goddess, queen of the Nile. Isis was often shown standing with the earth at her feet and a crescent moon above her head as the Earth Mother. In the esoteric tradition, we are informed that the moon is actually the mother of the earth. Contrary to present-day science, who thinks that the moon is a chunk of the earth that flew off, we are told that the moon was the physical center of the moon chain, the chain before the earth chain, which we are now currently on. And so when the moon chain comes to a close, all its energies from all its consciousness centers, the moon being one, were transferred to the appropriate centers in the earth chain. So all the physical attributes and the physical power of the moon was transferred to the embryonic Earth. In that way, then the moon is the mother of the Earth. And so we see Isis then depicted with the moon above her head and the Earth at her feet. HBB tells us of the time when the cult of the Virgin Mary began in the city of Alexandria in Egypt, when Christianity was starting to draw people away from the Roman gods to the one God of the Christians. In this process, Isis and everything about her was transmuted into Mary. Everywhere that Christianity got a foothold, they did this very same thing. They supplanted the indigenous gods with their own versions. Yet the symbols, however labelled, are the same, with the same veiled mystery traditions sitting behind the new images. The classical period of ancient Greece was truly remarkable. Its echoes still reverberate throughout the modern world today. And indeed, the Olympic Games were said to have been first held over 2,700 years ago in southern Greece in Olympia. Some sources say that it was held in 776 BC in honor of the god Zeus. But I'll leave that to Erica to qualify, because this is only what I picked up from various sources. Of course, we know that, in theory at least, the Olympic Games bring nations together in a spirit of good-hearted competition. Their motto is swifter, higher, stronger, to be the best that you can be, lifting the physical, emotional and mental fitness of the human race into ever new heights of achievement. The symbol of the 5 interlocking circles, which we all know today, may not have been the original symbol of the Olympic Games. It is rumoured that the original Olympic symbol was the 5-pointed star, the pentagram, which was eventually replaced by 5 interlocking circles or rings centred on the 5 points of the star. But this remains speculation. However, that symbol was very well known and used in the ancient world. It represents perfected humanity, which is very appropriate for the Games. But the symbol fell into disrepute because of its deep roots in pagan religions and its later association with dark magic. But then, nothing is all good or all bad. There are spiritual meanings and associations to the 5-pointed star, not the least being the symbol of the Christ made flesh. The number 5 is a very powerful one, symbolizing the halfway point of evolution, 10 being the culmination. It is the powerful symbol of the 5th initiation, whereon an initiate of the mysteries reaches masterhood. London is said to be one of the 5 planetary centres where spiritual forces enter each month at the time of the full moon. London, New York, Geneva, Darjeeling and Tokyo. That's what it said. London is considered to be the throat centre of the planet, the chakra through which the mental body functions and expresses higher creativity. Even though Britain's empire has all but dwindled away now, its inner spiritual destiny forges onwards still. Britain is a leading exponent of the 5th root race, where mind or manus has reached its acme of development. The British Anglo-Saxons constitute the 5th branch race of the 5th Teutonic subrace of the 5th root race, 555, representing the development of mind. And to cap it off, London's soul is considered to be on the 5th ray of knowledge and science. So all in all, this Olympics in 2012, with its with its 5 rings and its symbology throughout the ages of Isis and all this kind of stuff. It's very, very potent this year. You know, the ancients had an interesting map of involution and evolution based on the 5-pointed star. It's a slight digression, but it may interest some of you. Really should have had a diagram on the screen for you, but if you can use your imaginations and think of the 5-pointed star with its point at the top, and think of that being superimposed on the planes, spiritual, body, mental, astral, etheric, and physical, and so on. Then if we trace a line from the top point down to the bottom left hand leg of this, got it backwards, haven't I? To the bottom left hand leg of the star, to that angle, that denotes the descent through involution through the planes into matter, finally reaching the physical plane. And then you have the line from that angle up to the right hand arm to that point, which signifies the progress of the life waves from mineral, vegetable, animal and human. Arriving at the human point, we then have a lateral line denoting the linear progress of humanity from primitive to civilization to intelligence and to higher mind. But this is a point of danger, because along with that development of the human mind comes arrogance, intelligence and arrogance, and the thirst for power. And so the symbol tells us that when nations reach this point, they always fall into corruption. And that is denoted by the line down again into the materiality to the left-hand bottom point of the diagram, where they have to then struggle their way back up again. But of course, the human spirit is indomitable and will always win through in the end. And so the final line takes us back to spirit and to the completion of the evolutionary process. And that's the map of involution on the 5-pointed star. It's true though, isn't it, that civilizations, when they reach their peak, do tend to become corrupt. Atlantis, the Roman Empire, the British Empire, and so on. Mountaineers have said that they climb mountains because they're there and because they can. In all walks of life, humans push back the boundaries of the possible because they can. Evolution proceeds from darkness to light, from ignorance to wisdom, and from potential to capacity. The unknown becomes the known, and the struggle for perfection eventually becomes a triumph, a coming home of the prodigal son, when the whole host of angels rejoice. This journey, this unimaginable traversing of the planes of existence, from the all-embracing unity of the divine mind into the cold, dark materiality of the physical plane, having penetrated deeper into matter in the interminable course of a succession of chains and rounds, this is a terrifying thought to us now. To think of taking that journey again is for us unthinkable. Yet we did take that journey. This is how we got to where we are now. And other monads are even now enmeshed deep in that awesome process, traveling behind us on the evolutionary road of ever becoming. Like the prodigal son, we left the safe comforts of our home, safe in the loving embrace of our mother and father, to go naively into untold danger, pain, pleasure, fear, to be rich, to starve, to be desired, to be hated, to be trampled on, to be abandoned, to be saved, to be all the things we could possibly be, to learn and to grow, to become all that we could be, and to develop the latent Godhead deep within us. You know, herein lies a really deep mystery, the mystery of mysteries. The fact that as monads, as parts of the spiritual essence, that we are cast into this process whereupon we become enmeshed in nature, and then to struggle our way back out of it again, back to that light and to that unity, over incredible time spans that really are meaningless in their length. It is absolutely awe-inspiring to think that we are on that process. Well, to think that we're actually just over halfway through that process. We've come so far. And yet, something of us, that essential part of us, never leaves that spiritual home. And this is the mystery. Krishna says this to Arjuna on the eve of the battle. I create all this, I put myself out into all this, yet I remain. It's like the beams of light from a candle. The flame is there, but the beams will travel. And this is the deepest of all mysteries. We cannot get our heads around the fact that we're not really here, and yet we are. Have you seen the film Avatar? Yeah? Hands up if you've seen Avatar. Oh, that's good. Good. Good film. It really puts it in perspective, doesn't it? The greedy, grasping materialists and the earth-loving, nature-worshipping, connected indigenous peoples. Well, since I saw that movie, I've seen that as a perfect analogy to our situation. Because if we are still in our spiritual home, yet we are here, what we are here is avatars. This is my avatar. I'm somewhere on the spiritual realm in my little cocoon, asleep, and my consciousness is projected into this avatar body so that I can work, relate, experience, and express in this alien environment. And because you're all avatars, you're all in your avatar bodies also, we can talk to each other, we can relate to each other in this weird world. And that way we can come to understand the nature of this world. And it's the same as in the film. And you see how some of the operators, once they've spent time in their avatar bodies, they don't want to go back because they feel that they've totally identified with that body. That's what we've done. We've identified with this body. But we are only projected into this vehicle. We are sons and daughters of Mahat. She, the second aspect of Logos, who creates the forms and then pulses life into them. Millions upon millions of monads in 7 great life waves traverse the planes in this process of involution and evolution. And so I find that a sort of way to understand this idea that we're here yet we're not here. You were a spark of the divine fire, thrown far from the warmth of the mother flame. You descended through time and space into the depths of darkness. Not the darkness of the all-embracing deep, but the darkness of cold materiality. After inconceivable ages, you came to rest in the bondage of stone. As magma flowed white hot and finally cooled, you were wrapped in its unyielding embrace. Oceans broke your bondage into dust, and there you lay, washed by wind, rain, and tidal ebb and flow. You settled in sediment and earth. Through all of this, you sought the union of like monads, kindred sparks. And so you bonded with them to form sometimes stable and at other times volatile relationships. Elemental forces ushered your energies into rare elementary particles and grosser elements. Meanwhile, some deep unknowable source within you compelled you to be the best of what you were capable of. The immense potential of your divine nature and the latent capacities mirroring those of the all-embracing spirit, that fire from which you were a spark, though buried deep, would not be denied. Outwardly, your efforts run their due course, yet deep within you slumbered. Unable to act beyond the cyclic boundaries of time and necessity, you rested. Your energies coiled ready to respond to more subtle, flexible growth and form. Ages came and passed. The far distant stars called to you, drifting your name on interstellar tides. And around you, the tides of the earth flowed deep, shallow, angry, and calm. You slept until the time came to move on. Around you now, things moved. You moved. Growth like never before. Freedom, stretching, branching, wind and rain, light and darkness. You knew what it was to dream. Kissed by the sun, you thrilled with the joy of unbridled growth. Verdantly, you reached up to the heavenly light above. Your roots seeking the firm host of the mineral wealth that was your very self in the dim reaches of a past so long ago, yet somehow still very present. In sheer joy, you spread your tendrils across an entire world, reaching forms of leaf and bough born in the wildness of your dreamscapes. Your diversity gave you the companionship of the many, but also the strife of competition as you fought for space of earth and light. Survival was the imperative writ deep across your dreaming group souls. Strategies were formed, ingenious and diverse, the casting of your seed to the causes of your own kind. Your inventiveness knew no bounds as you contrived organic compounds from chemical potency. And still the call from within to reach out, to push your limits, to be the best. You slept the dream-filled sleep of a newborn, and in time, in those very dreams, you leapt and ran, running free from the Mother Earth herself, yet pulled to her by her ever-present love. Your dreams became ever more real, giving you glimpses of a joy beyond knowing. And so, as the cycles came and the tides of life turned to new phases, you broke free of your earthly mantle with its restricting root and stem to reach upwards into new forms. You were stirring, no longer just a dreaming awareness, but a waking up. You awoke to a new awareness as you roamed the world's forests, fields, mountains, valleys, and seas. This was freedom, freedom of a kind that you had never thought possible, not even in your wildest dreams. But there was still this drive to survive at all costs, and amongst your fellow beasts you needed brute strength and awareness. you developed a great alertness as in turn you became prey and then hunter. Your waking brought realizations to mind of the urge to mate, to cast your seed in new ways. Social grouping and even pairing became an imperative as the herd and flock and shoal became the way of the new group soul. The manifold life forms that were yours to dwell in were masterworks of muscle, sinew, and bone. There was an endless succession from the simple celled mindless to the brain-powered creatures of sense organs and complex responses. You learned to build, to arrange the world around you to your special needs. Nesting, burrowing, colonizing, you developed behavior patterns that ensured your flourishing in the earth, on land, in air and water. Now you were the crest of your life wave. The earth was yours. You were king of the jungle. And you were competing fiercely to be the best and to survive at all costs. But as your awareness surfaced in the fullness of time, you became ever more awake to possibilities beyond your mere instinctive patterns. Some part of you deep within was calling faintly in the darker areas of your simple mind. Gradually, the herd mentality and the routine-centered ways were less automatic. There were other ways to be, other ways to grow, to stand apart. Thoughts flickered into being that were unbidden, ideas that were not common but were attractive and brought more sense of being something unique, something more than just one of many. You were starting to glimpse a new feeling, a feeling of your own self. There was still the company of others, of family, groups and such, but more and more there was social order to take account of. Self-interest became the way to success. There was hierarchy within groups, a pecking order to be contended with. You pushed yourself up the social ladder even as you were being pushed down it by others. Leaders and matriarchs took the best of what was available. The rest got what was left or what they could compete for. And the imperative to survive in that dangerous world of tooth and claw demanded that you be the best you could possibly be. And so the eons passed and the awareness of self grew stronger. Eventually, and without choosing, you were cast off from the group mind. This was like when you were cast from the divine flame all those cycles ago as a mere spark. Though you could not remember that distant past, nevertheless, here you were again cast out from the collective unity, cast into a new life wave as an individual, no longer just a spark, but now a flaming self-aware being, lonely and fearful, cast adrift into a new world where fear and wonder mix freely in your newly self-aware mind. A mind that now had movements and patterns swirling and pushing, eager to surface, thoughts that had as yet no reality in which to be expressed. There was a new force deep within you now. So powerful that you could not even begin to comprehend it. Deep within, you had received a jolt of power from the will of the Logos itself. You, a monad, which as a very tiny spark had been thrown from the divine flame all those time-defying cycles ago, that very spark that had glowed so dimly at first in its incarceration, and then flickered into life in the night dark dream world, to flare into flaming vitality in the stirring waking daylight of awareness, was now burning bright, a fire in your own right, a fire that demanded fuel of the highest kind. And that fuel was nothing less than human self-consciousness with a full range of mind. A potential that is nothing short of awesome, but needing traverse a whole chain of worlds to grow into its fullness, but nevertheless capable of burning as brightly as the mother flame from which it was cast. Your divinity is now yours to claim. To become a truly spiritually aware individual is your birthright and your true destiny. No more than needing to be the best because you were struggling for space, light, and of sheer necessity. No more the competing for your share of lush, verdant growth. No more the dire need to be the best in a world of bestial instinct to survive, where fear stalks the shadows, where the weak are consumed and discarded. No more the need to be the best in a human tribal existence, where hierarchy is one of power and privilege, and the best raise themselves above the madding crowd of the mundane and the ordinary. Not for you now. Not for us here present. We should be a section of humanity fast outgrowing the primitive and the fear-based self-concerns of ignorance, a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of all life. But we are only the few, only those of us who see or intuit that divine flame within us, and can cast off the need to be the best in the old context and adopt a newer, higher context of this prime directive. For us now, the need to be the best that we can be, not to gain individual advantage or for self-survival, but to realize the vast potential of humanity as a whole. The best for us now and in the future is to reach our full power as a collective, a brotherhood of cooperating individual souls. For as humanity strives to be the best it can be, we can soar into the dizzy heights of conscious union with all life. Ahead of us, in the fullness of cyclic time, lies the glorious divinity which is, has always been, our true purpose. A purpose that will finally bear fruit after eons of vast cycles, wherein the tiny spark has journeyed blindly, searching for the light of true self-conscious awareness. Inspired now by those who have gone before us, we aspire to become the very best of our life wave, the torch bearers of the divine flame itself. Destined in a far distant cycle to be the guiding light to another, new, younger humanity in our turn. At last we can now see our way to achieving the great purpose of evolution, to be the best. Thank you.